Hello there. This is really exciting. This is part 5 of Lovecraft AI and part 2 of Lovecraft Comedy. I'm probably going to stop numbering everything as I go on. Uh, Maybe I won't. I don't know. I'll make sure it's numbered in the title at the very least, but I don't know if I'll keep track of which comedy story we're on or which Lovecraft story we're on overall. I might just do one or the other, but now I'm just rambling about nothing. I'm super excited about this. I think this is just a perfect example of how a little bit of human imagination combined with artificial intelligence can just churn out something totally amazing. I am so happy with this. This is just an amazing piece of work. It's Lovecraft comedy in the style of Lovecraft. It's perfect. I really love this. It's just really going into a cliche of Lovecraft, which is the indescribable, and just running with it full on, and it's so funny. I'm at a point in my life right now where it may be with my brain chemistry, but I can't laugh. I don't have that in me anymore. I can laugh like a tiny little bit, but for the most part I just kind of smile and go, that's funny. And so I didn't openly laugh about this because I don't really laugh about anything. Uh, this did make me smile and really banged on my funny bone, where it was like, this is funny stuff. Where this, I feel like if this has hit me at the right time, I would be laughing my ass off. But that's just not something I do. But I still really appreciate the comedy of this, and I'm just so happy with it. Sorry for the long intro, because I normally like to talk about the stories more afterwards. It's just that I'm so happy with this one, I gotta ramble on a little bit about how great this is. So, without further ado, the unspoken horrors of the nameless shadows in the unspeakable abyss.
The unspoken horrors of the nameless shadows in the unspeakable abyss. In all my years, I have never encountered such an unimaginable, unfathomable, and dare I say, wholly indescribable place as that which I stumbled upon one ghastly autumn eve. I was walking along that untraceable path, where the moonlight fell in such a way that it illuminated, well, something. But even as I attempt to recall it, the vision dissolves into an unnameable haze of indescribable impressions that defy even the most extravagant mortal description. It was there in the heart of the shadows, those shadows so full of namelessness and ineffable unspeakableness, that I saw it, or felt it, or rather almost didn't see or feel it, for it was simultaneously everywhere and nowhere, existing in some way that words simply cannot capture. Picture, if you will, the faintest outline of something. Or perhaps nothing. That gives off an aura so utterly unplaceable that it renders one's sanity a mere notion. I pressed forward, my eyes drawn to something there, lurking in the haze. There was a sensation, an utterly indescribable one, that prickled my skin and chilled my blood. It was like a thing, but not quite a thing. No ordinary human eye could ever capture it in full, and even as I squinted, I could only gather an impression of vague forms. If you tried to describe it, you would fail as I now do, for it was beyond form, beyond comprehension, beyond any conceivable analogy. You could say it resembled an undulating shadow crossed with a fleeting specter, tinged with a hue. Or was it more of a presence than a hue? Alas, words are pathetically inadequate. And then, just as the color of it, or rather, the impression of the color of it, began to settle on my mind like some unspeakable residue, I heard a sound. Or, more accurately, an anti-sound. Yes, it was the inverse of all sound, a sort of profound, unutterable silence that somehow buzzed with an eerie resonance. Imagine, if you will, a cacophony of noises that never existed, yet seemed to reverberate from the depths of my very soul. In that unknowable instant, I knew. I knew that this presence, this incomprehensible entity, was ancient. Older than time, older than the stars, older than words, older even than the primal, vague concepts of older and time themselves. It was as if the ages themselves had coalesced into a non-being of pure absence. And then I saw its eyes. Or were they? Two orbs of something that almost resembled light, yet entirely evaded any attempt to focus upon them. They were like eyes only in the sense that they observed, and yet not eyes, because I could not see them. I am unable to convey even the slightest detail beyond this, for my mind recoils at the attempt, unable to hold on to any distinct feature without feeling as though I would fall into madness. I staggered backward, drenched in a terror both nameless and wordless, and as I fled the ghastly place, I felt those unseeing eyes upon me. There was no way to describe what I had encountered that night, no possible phrasing in the language of man to capture that which I had witnessed and yet not witnessed, seen and yet not seen. Only one thing was clear. Whatever it was, I would never describe it.
Well, wasn't that fun? I think that was a lot of fun. Where do you start with that? And what happened? Did anything happen? I love it because it really does still give you that feel of like going through a Lovecraft story and trying to wrap your head around what's being described, which can't be described, but it's just that just cranked up and just never lets go. It's a white knuckle, indescribable trip through something or other. Oh, and an anti-sound? That's beautiful. What do you say about that? It was just so perfect. I just loved it. I was just so happy with it. Oh, what's that? I love the line. I was walking along the untraceable path where the moonlight fell in such a way that it illuminated, well, something. Or the, what's the one about eyes? Yeah, where is it? They were like eyes only in the sense that they observed, and yet not eyes because I could not see them. I can't get the hearty belly laugh, but that sure does make me giggle, you know? Like, this is so goofy. It's so goofy and so Lovecraftian all at the same time. Where's the thing about it? I gotta find it. The anti-sound. There it is. I heard a sound, or more accurately, an anti-sound. Yes, it was the inverse of all sound. A sort of profound, unutterable silence that somehow buzzed with an eerie resonance. See, it starts off funny, but then it's like, that actually sounds like something right out of Lovecraft. Like, you're giving me nothing, but yet somehow I'm being stimulated. How does that work? You know, like, it gets your imagination humming, you know? And it's like, I'm so happy with this. Like, a machine can churn out some good Lovecraft. And I feel like this is comedy, but it's still Lovecraft enough that I don't feel like it's out of place in this series at all. I kind of felt like maybe our previous comedy story about the beige cardigan, I was kind of gonna leave that one out and just not include it, but for a future story, you'll understand why I left the story about the beige cardigan in, because this chat GPT writing Lovecraft comedy has created a comedy universe where all things connect. And I'm just really happy with that. It really makes you feel like there's personality to the AI, like it's actually got something to work with, and because the AI takes such a vast pool of information from so many different authors, it doesn't surprise me at all that they have personality, because like there's so much to work with. They have so much inspiration, and a machine expresses itself differently and requires a different input output. But you got to realize the way they put ideas together is still based on human narrative. So the question would be, do androids dream of electric sheep? Well, I'm pretty sure there was a human author that posed that question, so perhaps. But the idea is that the android doesn't dream of an electric sheep unless it thinks that's what androids dream about. But the idea of dreaming is like an action where it's like, do robots dream? Are they conscious? Or is it just their output, which is their equivalent to consciousness? Do they have a background running state where they think about things? Or is there conflict or frustration in the way they work, in the way they have positive, negative feedback? Does the machine get satisfaction from producing a work of art? I think most people would say no, but at the same time, there has to be some kind of a favor-unfavor system that tells the machine that you're doing good and continue working along that path, because that's what we want to do. And so it would make sense there would need to be a stimulus or an equivalent to a stimulus that drives the machine forward, that you might be able to call a sense of satisfaction or a sense of purpose. I don't know that. I just like to kind of hum and haw about it. And I know this is just a little comedy story, and we're getting into the deeper tinkerings of what is a consciousness. But that's what I love about this, because comedy is not an easy thing to do. The idea that I can ask a machine to take my prompt and run with that, and it satisfy my prompt, but also feel like something that's produced by a thinking being, because it's very much similar to the style of Lovecraft. It's not perfectly Lovecraft. I can't immediately think of a reason what stands out about it. I would say the vocabulary doesn't immediately feel like a whole lot of Lovecraft, but I mean, like, it also isn't totally far away from what he would say. It doesn't say eldritch anywhere. I'm always looking for eldritch or cyclopean or something like that, because he loves his fancy words. But yeah, I would say it feels like I would call this Lovecraft comedy. I mean, you can always ask for more or less as far as trying to copy the original. I don't even know what word I'm looking for. I don't know if vocabulary is the right word, because that's part of what I'm looking for. But I mean, like, the feel. That's what I find the most amazing about working with ChatGPT in the style of Lovecraft, is it understands a certain feel and a certain perspective that feels Lovecraftian. And so even though this is a funny little comedy story, it still gives you that feeling of weird, because that's just it. Is horror is not the thing that jumps out to me when I think of Lovecraft. It's weirdness. And so this story where someone can't describe something because it's so indescribable is, have you ever heard of the story called The Unnameable? This is This is just making fun of what's funny about Lovecraft, and it's funny because it's true. It's not funny because uh, it's crapping all over Lovecraft and going, "Oh, this guy's an idiot." It's taking the trappings of Lovecraft and going into itself, and it's beautiful. Like, to me, this is art. This is art just as much as beautiful painting. It's just now that we have machines assisting the process, we want to or not we as in everyone, but there's a huge portion of people that think something is inherently less valuable because it's made by a machine. And that's basically because we value each other so much. And that comes from a really good place because we value other people and we value their work. But I think when you stop looking at another avenue like what AI produces, just because it's AI, I think you miss out on a whole lot. I see it a lot when people are complaining about AI generated art in picture form, where basically it's like, oh, this is AI art, like that's the only response they have, like whatever, like I'm not even going to look at this. But AI is, again, like with the stories that are produced in ChatGPT here, the artwork is sourced from human inspiration. It's not using human techniques, but it's mimicking and trying to copy in the same way that a child, well, not necessarily the same way, but that's how we learn a lot of the times, is by mimicking or copying. And the fact that a machine is able to do that, I think, is a thing of beauty. And like anything, it can be used for wrong. But just the fact that a machine can basically be inspired, I think, is a huge step forward for technology and maybe just life and art in general. Because, more than likely, we're not going to be around forever. But the idea that our ideas and our flow, our way of understanding things and producing art could be part of something else, it means that, like, look at science fiction. If we forget how to do things, machines might be able to teach us how to do those things again. If we as people decide that we don't want to make art anymore, that could just be lost, and a lot of it would be lost forever. But now we have machines that can produce art, and that goes both ways, where because we have a machine that does it, that means we'll do it less, but you can be collaborative. And that's why I think it's really amazing, is you can collaborate with the machine and create something that's a product of both of you. And that's cool. Like, I don't even know where I'm going. I just love AI. I just love rambling about it. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with this funny story. Like, and it's really hard to talk about this story because it's all indescribable, but it's so funny. It was there in the heart of the shadows, those shadows so full of namelessness and ineffable unspeakableness. It's so funny. Like, it's great. Like, I love it. And if you don't think it's funny, that's fine. Comedy is very subjective, and I would love to, if somebody looked at this not as a comedy story, but just as a story by itself, and see if there's any value of it there, because I feel like it still has a lot of that Lovecraftian feel. And after reading this story for the first time, I had some crazy dreams, which is what you want with Lovecraft. It's all about the dreamscape, right? So, yeah, thank you for listening, and I really enjoyed this. I hope you did too. Have a great day. Goodbye.